Wonder Man is likely one of the superheroes with the highest potential in the Marvel Universe. His powers are triggered by emotional fluctuations and more importantly, he possesses the superpower to harness ionic energy. But Simon Williams has an almost obsessive dream of becoming a movie star. Although Hollywood now strictly prohibits superpowered individuals from acting in films, he still decided to hide his powers because he is only one step away from his big break. Soon the day of the audition for the movie, Wonder Man arrived. Simon arrived at the director's mansion, but the director's audition process was quite unique and heavily improvised. He didn't want the actors to follow a script, instead paired them up to perform improvisations. He had an actor named Richard Play, one of Simon's former classmates, to confront him over the phone.
Hello. Hey. Freak. Oh. It's you. That's right. It's me. Think you can hide from me, you little piece of shit. Alright. That's enough. Is it? Everyone knows your secret. You're not fooling anyone. We've all been talking about it behind your back. Hey Simon, your friend, Thomas can't help you. No one can, you're just a freak and... No one can, you're just a freak. And you always will laughs.
Fortunately, it was just a dream, but upon waking, Simon was consumed by despair. He confided in Trevor, admitting he could no longer handle the pressure. He was terrified of showing anyone his true self, fearing he would be shunned and his acting career ended forever. Trevor offered him some profound words of encouragement once more. He told Simon that his true self isn't defined by his superpowers, but by everything he'd lived through: the loss, the joy, the sadness, and the heartbreak. He reiterated that an actor's mission is to hold a mirror up to nature, sharing one's own pain and joy so the audience no longer feels alone. Deeply moved by this guidance, Simon decided to deliver one final performance with Trevor. This time their acting was brimming with raw emotion and power, vividly capturing every nuance of the character's conflict and struggle. Their performance deeply moved the director von Kodak, who pulled them aside to tell Simon that he was the only Wonder Man he could ever imagine. He also invited Trevor to play his best friend Barnaby, excitedly declaring that together they would make cinematic history. On the way home, the two were basking in the glow of their success. However, Trevor's past troubles were quick to catch up. His liaison at the DOT called demanding to know why he hadn't answered and insisting on the recorded evidence. Trevor lead claiming the equipment had malfunctioned to buy time, but they threatened to send him straight back to prison. In a moment of desperation, Trevor switched his tactics. He confirmed to the liaison that Simon did have powers and was extremely dangerous. However, he argued that his own testimony as a former terrorist would hold no weight in a court of law. He promised to secure more damning evidence instead, successfully buying himself a little more time. Production on Wonder Man officially began, bringing new thrills and challenges to the set, as the lead Simon enjoyed the full A-list treatment, with dedicated assistants handling his every need. Meanwhile, his bromance with Trevor became the talk of the entire crew. The first week of shooting went off without a hitch, and Simon's agent even brought him a massive new opportunity, an offer to star in a new Netflix series. However, Trevor cautioned Simon against rushing into the next jiggy, urging him to stay fully focused on Wonder Man. He could even perform in a stage play to prove his acting chops. Deeply influenced by Trevor's philosophy, Simon told his agent he was leaning toward Trevor's advice. And just then, an even greater opportunity arose. Kathy Friedman, a renowned entertainment columnist for the New York Times, heard of their legendary journey from bitter rivals to best friends. She wanted to do an exclusive joint interview with them. However, Trevor was filled with dread at the prospect. He warned Simon that Kathy Friedman is known for her razor-sharp pen and ruthless critiques. She is a character assassin. He read out the caustic remarks from Kathy's previous articles, making Simon worry that his own social awkwardness would be laid bare during the interview, and fearing his secret about his ionic powers might be discovered. To prepare for the interview, they decided to be inseparable in front of her, projecting a warm and personable image together. The next day, Kathy arrived on set to conduct her observations. At this point, Simon received some unsettling news. Kathy had already reached out to his ex-girlfriend Vivian before the interview. He immediately arranged to meet Vivian to see what was going on. Vivian assured him she hadn't revealed his secret to the reporter, but she also admitted that while they were dating, she had long sensed that Simon was different from everyone else. She had waited for him to open up to her, but it never happened. She hopes that in the future Simon would find someone he could truly trust and be his authentic self with Linda. The conversation with his ex left Simon even more anxious. He feared the reporter would also dig into his family, especially his estranged brother Eric. He called his mother to check, only to find out that Kathy had indeed already interviewed Eric. Simon was instantly seized by panic. He was certain that Eric would expose everything about him to the reporter. Filled with trepidation, Simon and Trevor sat down across from Casey. However, the interview took a turn. Simon hadn't expected. Casey told him that during the interview his brother Eric spoke of him with nothing but praise and pride, without uttering a single negative word. Casey remarked that Simon's entire journey was incredibly inspiring, and he was fascinated by it. And Casey shifted the spotlight to Trevor, bluntly pointing out that, according to his investigation, Trevor had been arrested for a prison break upon arriving in Los Angeles a few months ago. This pointed question left Trevor completely rattled. Casey pressed on, demanding to know if he had cut a deal with the government, and how a fugitive like him could land a starring role in a movie. Under Casey's relentless interrogation, Trevor's composure completely crumbled. He heatedly denied everything, until unable to take any more he stormed out. The disastrous interview forced Simon to see the grim reality, and he confronted Trevor about what was really going on. Under Simon's scrutiny, Trevor finally came clean. He'd been working for the Department of Damage Control, getting close to Simon solely to spy on him and gather intelligence. From the auditions to his mother's birthday party, everything had been a meticulously crafted deception. Simon felt utterly betrayed. He couldn't believe he had been such a fool. Mistaking a spy for his closest friend, Trevor tried to explain, claiming he had been stalling for time and hadn't given the agency any real information, promising he would find a way to make things right. But to Simon, this 11th hour loyalty was meaningless. Once again, Simon's emotions spiraled out of control. The bombing on the set of Wonder Man has rocked the entire city, as police launch a massive manhunt across Hollywood. Elsewhere, Trevor makes one final call to Simon before his arrest. He tells Simon that he has squandered every opportunity in his life, but he refuses to let Simon lose this one big break. He apologizes to Simon for his actions, owing to take full responsibility for everything. He urges Simon to cherish this starring role and to live his life to the fullest. After hanging up, Trevor records a video and dispatches it to news outlets across the country. In the video, he dons the persona of the Mandarin once more, claiming responsibility for the explosion on the Wonder Man set, while delivering a radical manifesto on how the government uses Hollywood for psychological mind control. He frames himself as a rebel fighting against the establishment. The video successfully shifts all the blame onto him. The Department of Damage Control moves in quickly to arrest him, even though they know he isn't the big fish they were after. Nabbing a high-profile terrorist is enough to satisfy Congress and secure their budget. As Trevor is being led away, he whispers the truth to the head of the doc. He was the real Mandarin all along, and they never saw through his performance. Trevor's sacrifice clears the way for Simon, allowing production on Wonder Man to resume. Simon does not disappoint. He channels the grief of losing his best friend into his character, delivering a truly breathtaking performance. The film becomes a massive hit, catapulting Simon to Hollywood superstardom. He celebrates his success with family and friends at a glitzy premiere. Meanwhile, in a lab, technicians are analyzing debris from the set's explosion. Abnormal perturbations in ionic energy were detected. They realized that Simon might possess the immense power to harness ionic energy. He could be an extraordinary threat or an extraordinary asset. Meanwhile, Simon has used his powers to infiltrate the prison where Trevor is being held. He yanked the cell door open with ease, instantly triggering the alarm system. Although the prison security is tight, making a brute force escape nearly impossible, Simon has other plans.
Oh.
Using his dimension-hopping ability, he disappears from the prison with Trevor, heading toward an uncertain freedom. That concludes the story of Wonder Man. Compared to previous Marvel superhero films, with their grand spectacles and epic battles, Wonder Man focuses on the narrative itself, crafting well-rounded characters, which is a rare feat. This recap has omitted many of Simon's performances. If you enjoyed this, feel free to check out the original series. Thank you for watching. I wish you safety, success, and may all your wishes come true. See you in the next one.